Welcome to Inside Out. I'm your host, Haley Gross. Here I'll be discussing teens' experiences on social media, mental health awareness, body positivity, trend alerts, and so much more. Though the fashion industry and media have their faults, I pledge to show young women that they can love themselves even if they don't fit the ideal beauty standard. Self-expression and confidence are the keys to making yourself stand out and get in tune with your creative mind. Now to the show. Hi, welcome to another episode of Inside Out. I'm your host, Haley. Obviously, I am in a very different location. I talked about on my last show, which was kind of forever ago, but I was on RK's show like the week before I left. Anyways, I am at the University of Central Florida, and I just moved in, and this is my dorm. The walls are kind of empty, but I have tapestry here. All my roommates are in the room right now also, so may talk to them. But so first I wanted to talk about it's just gonna be like a college feature kind of. So my experience driving up to UCF. So we left at like 7 o'clock in the morning because I made my appointment time really early for some reason because I thought that's what everyone was doing, but all my roommates decided to move in literally the next day. So I was alone, but so we're driving up to. We only live like 3 hours away from UCF, back in Coral Springs. So we're driving up, and my mother took my car, and then I drove with my older brother in his car just so we could have two cars to take all the stuff up. And so we're driving on the road. I don't know what highway we're on, but driving on the highway, and my mom has this thing with big trucks. So do I. So does everyone. But my mom is so deathly afraid of big, like cargo trucks. And so we are driving. I literally was asleep this whole time, and I missed it kind of. But I woke up to my mom like frantically calling my brother. So long story short, we were driving, and this giant blue truck is in like the middle lane, and we're in the left lane. And this truck, the entire like back part of the vehicle is like curving into the left lane, and he's just swerving. He's just doing whatever he wants. My mom is freaking out, poor woman. But I think he noticed what he was doing, because my mom in my little tiny car almost got like pushed off the highway. She was driving in the grass on the side of the highway, and my brother was about to also, because we were right behind her. We were following her. So yeah, she was about to get hit by that car. And so that was my experience driving up. I was asleep. I was tired. It was 7 o'clock. But then we finally made it to UCF about like an hour and 20 minutes after my appointment time. I was kind of scared because I didn't know if I was like supposed to get there on that time, but nobody cared. Nobody asked any questions. It was fine. Then we just came into my dorm room. We had a bunch of people come help us with all of our stuff. And I thought I overpacked, but one of the guys that was helping us bring everything up, he was like, oh, like, I have to tell you something, don't get offended. And I was like, what? What do you mean, don't get offended? It was the lead up to this compliment. was very like terrifying, and he was like, "Oh, you guys like have like the least amount of stuff out of any girl I've seen," and I was like, "Could I have brought more stuff to college?" I feel like I brought a lot of stuff, but uh, anyways, I wanted to introduce my roommate Brianna, who's sitting right next to me.
Oh god, I would get on camera, but
She doesn't have to come on camera, but I just wanted to. So Brianna's from Tampa,
yes.
and we met on like, they have like a bunch of Facebook groups, like UCF Facebook group, and
Like UCF class of 2025 Instagram.
yes, and so that's where we met. We had like an original roommate.
Like group chat and like group on UCF.
Everyone at the studio knows the situation because I was just in distress about not having housing. I'm not sure if I talked about this on my last podcast, but this is like the biggest university in Florida, so
Biggest university in the country, one of.
no way.
Yeah.
But I logged onto my housing portal the day of choosing housing, and we have housing dates, so you only get to choose your housing when it's your housing date. And so my housing date was like the 25th, and a lot of people's housing dates were like the 11th or like the 13th. And so
crazy. UCF is number one.
So Brianna and Tatum, I think their appointments were a little bit earlier.
No, I had the earliest appointment out of everybody. I wound up having to separate the group because there was no housing in single dorms, and we wanted like single rooms to ourselves. Wound up logging in. There was one room left in like one of the dorms that had single dorms. And I was like, oh shoot, tried to pick it, and I couldn't because I had a group of 4 with me. And then I went back, split up the group, and that room was gone, so I freaked out. Called Tatum, and I was like, Tatum, you need to be in a room with me, I'll cry. And then we wound up getting back to Haley like a week or so later because my mom was going crazy after Alyssa had joined us. She was just like, I don't want to meet so many random people, blah, 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 blah. Even though Alyssa wanted to be like super nice.
Yeah.
But like texted Haley, and my mom was just like calling the UCF housing line and just being like, can we please have this girl join my daughter? Like, I don't want her to be with a bunch of random people. This girl seems nice. Like, my daughter and her roommates super love her. Whatever. Wound up texting Haley, and they were just like, yeah, like, it's okay. She just has to call us. She wound up calling them, and now we're here.
Yes, I was posting all over my socials like,
I don't have a home.
I don't have a home. I'm gonna be homeless. Catch me on the side of like
Catch me in a
Libra
box.
Drive in a box. And I was like praying for no communal bathroom, but it kind of worked out because
now you don't have to deal with a bunch of preppy people.
I have Florida prepaid, and so this is one of the dorms that get covered by Florida prepaid. But we wanted to dorm in like Lake Claire, which is one of the
supposedly nicer dorms. Even though we just spoke to somebody last night while we were out, and we found out they are actually not nicer.
My sister was there. It wasn't great.
No. And also they don't have an elevator, so like if you're bringing your groceries up and you're on the 3rd floor,
Yeah, that's why my sister was like, oh, you have to do all this stuff because I didn't have an elevator. I'm like, who says I don't have an elevator?
We have an elevator.
We do have an elevator.
In on-campus housing, but honestly, all my classes are right next to Lake Claire, so that would have been better, but
honestly,
no elevator is a deal
yeah.
breaker.
For...
Even though we use the stairs anyways, because they're closer to our room.
Yeah. Except for when we bring up groceries.
Mm-mm.
We did make that trudge up the stairs the last time we went to Target, though. That was awful.
Trying to feed ourselves in this dorm
With no kitchen.
with no kitchen.
All we have is a microwave and toasters.
Yeah, I don't know if I can disclose this, but
Shh, don't tell anybody that we have toasters.
so I was supposed to go over to my friend's dorm like 2 nights ago, last night? 2 nights ago.
2 nights ago.
2 nights ago, and I'm texting her like, okay, I'm gonna go out to eat with my friends, and then I'll come over,
Yeah.
and then
We get this notification.
we ended up just going to Tatum's friend's apartment because she wasn't replying to me, and I was like, oh, it's okay, she's probably doing something, I don't know, but so I'm like texting her like, hey.
Now we wound up getting this notification from
Yeah, we got an email from like
UCF.
campus UCF
Security.
notifications, and it was like, there has been a fire in Tower 1. And I was like, what if that's her because she lives in Towers? I didn't know which like one she lived in. That's why I was like, that was like my last text to her, like, oh, like, where do you guys live? I'm coming. And so she didn't text me back for like 2 hours after that.
Until
I
like
texted-
after we left.
Yeah, I texted her friend and I was like, oh my god, like, I heard there was a fire in Towers, like, are you guys good? And she ends up texting me back and she's like, oh, no, like, the fire was us, like, my apartment
My air fryer.
in flames. It was an air fryer fire.
Trying to cook ramen.
Yeah, I think it was ramen. They said Thai food, but even so, like,
That doesn't make sense.
the air fryer fire.
Air fryer.
Makes sense why we're not allowed to have an air fryer in here, but
But like.
can happen with a microwave, can
True.
happen with wires. Anything's a fire hazard in here. We're not allowed to have like LED lights, fairy lights, toasters, toaster ovens. We secretly have a toaster oven, but
Rice cookers as well. We're not.
rice cookers.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. Fire hazard.
Did you say something?
Yeah. Dorm life. But
Truly.
Did you say something?
and I have gotten 2 parking tickets, which are
Mine just
really
came back.
cutely hung up on my wall over there. So my first week of school, I did not know that like B and C parking is like staff parking. I was like, okay, let me just park here because it's an open spot. And my friend Jack was like, yeah, it's okay, you should be fine. And I was like, okay. And then
Pull up.
wake
3
up the
days
next
later.
morning and there's a cute little green slip on my car. I'm like,
What?
oh.
Bright
that's-
neon green.
Yeah, bright neon green saying you owe money.
You owe money to the government now. Good job.
And the same night of the Towers fire, we
Could not find parking.
could not find parking either in like the parking garage close to our dorm. Like we were driving around like the lots like around campus that weren't that far from our dorm, but
I'm probably gonna work the class 'cause I don't know.
we had gotten to the lot at like 12, and then by the time like we finished looking around, it was like 1 a.m. and we were finally just like, let's just park in B and C parking again because there's no spots. We're not gonna walk.
We wanted to leave a little note on the window being like, sorry, there was not a single spot in this entire lot. And you paid $70 for a parking pass.
$70 for a parking pass, and I can't park my little car. But
Make it make sense.
make it make sense. And we were driving around this lot. At one point, it was just me racing this other Mazda, and we were just zooming. Obviously, there was no spots anywhere, but I wanted to like beat him to a spot if there was one. And then we were like, okay, let's just park in B, C parking, whatever. We'll look one more time. Then we like zoom down, and then there's a cop giving out tickets.
And we're like, oh no, except he wasn't giving out tickets.
He was like looking at the passes, but
He wasn't doing anything. He wasn't getting out of his car. There were so many people, just like no stickers, no passes at all, that were parked in that lot. Oh my bad.
But after a certain time at my university, you're allowed to park in the student parking lots without a sticker.
I believe.
Oh my God.
What Jack was saying.
Okay. But
Do it again.
so there's so many cars just all over with no sticker and no business being in the residence lot. And we're three girls, like three 18-year-old girls. We're not going to park like 5 miles away and then go walk to campus in an unfamiliar city by ourselves.
That's a good way to get kidnapped.
That's a good way to have things happen to you, yes. Kind of scary, kind of frightening. And so we were just like, we'll take the ticket, I guess. There's literally no other option at this point. And we think that, I just thought that like everyone fled because of the fire at Towers, and that's probably why the lot was vacant, but
That's the only thing that would make sense, especially because we had asked other people. They were just like, no, we've never had this happen to us. Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I'll just.
Like, when Maddie was just like, no, I don't know, just park in Libra.
and we tried to ask around. We tried to ask people, since we're freshmen, we don't know. I was gonna leave a note on my car that just said, we're freshmen, we're girls, we're 18-year-old girls, like, I don't know where we're supposed to park. And so, asking around, our friend Maddie, friend Jack was sleeping, so we were like, never mind, because he kind of knows his way around. We don't. But
Somehow, even though he only got here like 3 days before us, but
he's efficient.
he got the scoop.
He got the scoop. So, do you want to talk about Tampa?
Oh god, Tampa was awful. I'm sorry if you're from Tampa. I don't mean to slander it. But it's literally just a cesspool. I'm from South Tampa, so that's more of like the rich area, I guess. But like, literally everybody knew everybody, and it was like millions of people there, but somehow everybody, it was like the smallest circle. Like, pretty much all of the kids that I went to high school with went to UF and FSU, which is good for me because I didn't want to see them, but I don't know. Tampa was just Tampa, and if you've ever been to Tampa, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I liked Tampa when I saw downtown.
I mean, yeah, it's like super nice to look at and like to visit, but to live there is so draining. Like, it genuinely feels like it takes time off of your life living there, just because it's like the same thing every single day. Like, same people, same cars, like, there's not very much to do unless you want to go eat, or go to Hyde Park and eat, or go downtown and eat.
I got a 0.6.
Yeah, I feel like that was the way my city was too, to be honest. All we really did, drive, eat. But how was your high school?
High school, oh god, high school was an experience. I went to Plant. I don't know if you guys know what Plant High School is, but it's supposedly one of the best high schools in Hillsborough County. Even though last year our COVID rate was number one, like throughout Hillsborough County, we were like battling with Newsom with it, and
It's literally black.
super weird. Teachers were really weird. We've had a couple instances with teachers. Lots of rumors about teachers getting with students. One of our vice principals was charged with domestic violence.
Oh, wow.
10 years prior to coming to our school. Same with my middle school was actually, the principal was charged with domestic violence a couple of years ago while I was at Plant. Because apparently, like, he had pushed his daughter downstairs and she had, like, a bunch of broken ribs, and it was, like, this whole thing. Like, him and his wife wound up getting arrested. And then, like, the only thing that was falsified was the text, so all the charges got dropped. And, like, I think she went to go live with her grandma because I never saw her again. And it was just, like, everybody was calling this poor girl crazy, and it's just, like, this girl clearly needed help. Like, she had broken ribs, she had a bunch of, like, broken shit, and it's just like, I don't know. Yeah. My school was crazy. Tampa was really weird, but
She just called you for like half a second.
A little while.
just a little.
She loves talking about like where she's from, even though like she don't like it, but she loves talking about where she's from. That's why I asked her.
Just because it doesn't, a lot of the things that happen in Tampa don't really, like, happen anywhere else, which is super weird, just because, like, that's how I grew up, like, that's my childhood and stuff, and it's just, like, the weirdest, most, like, outlandish stuff.
Yeah.
Wednesday?
There's no
place like
home.
I'm gonna talk about my first day of school, and then I'll ask Brianna about her first day of school. So for my first day of school, I had 2 classes. I'm in like a leadership kind of class, like a fun little program, and that was my first class of the day on Monday last week, and so it was at 10:30 early. I don't know why I took morning classes because I'm not a morning person, but
Yeah.
I went to my first class, and it's so scorching hot outside that like you're just melting as you're walking into your building.
It's the worst.
And I wish I could like drive to those buildings, like I could, but it would be a waste. And we have like motorized scooters all around campus, but like
If you guys are, like, familiar with, like, Spin or Bird or Lime, it's similar to that, except it's really expensive because we're in Orlando and we're in college.
pretty much everything's really expensive. You have to get an app to go use the washer and
You
dryer.
have to get an app for everything. Like, even just to sign in for your classes, there's, like, UCF here.
Yeah.
You have to, like, scan the barcode.
To get into the football games, you have to get an app. To get into like concerts, you have to get an app. Like literally to get into everything, you have to get an application. But the UCF app is actually pretty helpful because I keep getting lost.
Oh, God.
It's not that bad.
Many
And
trips to
everyone
save
in
her.
this room knows that I
Not my dad.
can't find
Not my
myself.
dog.
There's like 3 central places that everything's always at, or like where like the classes are centered around. My classes are like, most of them are like near Lake Claire, which is on the other side of campus from where we live, so it's like
A whole trek.
20-minute walk, which doesn't sound that bad, but then 20-minute
It's
walk,
hot.
20-minute walk, it's hot, sit in a
It's
class,
humid.
sweat, finally like get like not sweaty, walk outside again, get drenched in sweat,
Yeah.
go back to your dorm, take a shower, and then redo. So kind of not the best, but I don't know what I expected. So
Yeah.
No.
And it's also one of the biggest campuses in the country, so it's just like there's no really getting around all the walking.
yeah, I don't even blame myself for getting lost so many times.
Like the amount of stairs, like we all better have the biggest booties.
No, for real.
Especially because we do live on the 3rd floor, which is nice because then there's never like any banging above us. We are the banging. But
No.
like also like the treks up the stairs sometimes. And
Oh my God.
everything is on the 3rd floor. Luke's house was on the 3rd floor.
Right.
One of my classes was
Everyone's
on the 3rd
so
floor.
high up.
Everyone's always on the 3rd floor. We can't make friends with people that are on like the 1st floor. It's so
We
sad.
can't.
No.
So we have like a really cool RA.
Jeremy, shout out Jeremy.
Shout out Jeremy because so he has a little whiteboard outside.
And he keeps stealing somebody's doormats. That's the reason why I
Yeah.
got put there.
People have doormats on outside, like it's like home sweet dorm,
No, it's so good.
like have a good day, like the little doormats. They
Our
put us
nest
up in
is
the-
best.
Our nest is best. And so every time like somebody walks into the hallway, they take the mats and they put it at somebody else's door. At one point, I took both of the mats that are in the hallway and I stacked them on top of each other and put them in front of Jeremy's door. And then the next day they were moved into their rightful places. But one day the mat was at our door. And I was like, who did this? We're like all the way down the hallway too.
Literally.
And
We're one of the last, like literally one of the last doors in our
yeah.
hallway.
But it's good though, because
nobody really bothers us. We don't really bother anybody. Everyone's been super nice that we've met in the dorm.
Yeah.
Which is super cool because I was not expecting as many nice people as we have gotten. Also, just Tampa. Because literally everybody in Tampa is like mean and like prissy and like rich and just like they expect everything for them.
Yeah.
Even the kids, especially the kids. Oh my god, they're all stuck up and bratty.
Always suburbia.
Suburbia.
Alright, guys. I think we're about ready to start wrapping things up for today. I didn't even get to talk about my first day of school, but next time, next Wednesday, you'll see me again. So glad to be doing my podcast again. I haven't done it in a little while. The last time it was on air, I think, was RK's show, as I said. But anyways, guys, my social medias, Facebook is Inside Out with Haley. Instagram is also Inside Out. It's Inside Out Haley. And then you can find me on Facebook and YouTube as well at, I think this is on AMP TV or 2020 Vision. But I hope you guys have a good day, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!
Thank you for watching Inside Out with Haley. Tune in next Wednesday for more talk about connecting with your inner and outer self, along with a range of other topics regarding young women and social media. See you next week.